Live on Facebook. Rabbi, your hair looks amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen you curl it like that before. I really like it.
It's what happens when it gets to a certain length.
Yep, I feel that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I remember having hair.
You will again one day.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
We're
shalom.
going to go ahead and get started.
There we go. Sorry about that. We're going to start with the singing of America the Beautiful, which if you have a prayer book, it's on page 681. If you don't, we're doing the first, third, and fourth verse. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, with more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Good Shabbos. My name is Alec Levy. I am not just the president of Congregation Ner Shalom, but I also served a career in the Navy. I would like to welcome all of our guests here tonight. Years ago, a group of congregants had an idea for a Shabbos service on or close to Patriot Day to honor and thank the military, the police, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and other first responders. And we have continued that service annually ever since. So tonight we honor and thank all of the men and women who serve or previously served in the military, the police, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and other first responders. Thank you for what you do or previously did, and thanks also to your families as well. For the rest of us, I have a request. While we thank and honor these men and women one night each year, they serve 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So my request is that when you see one of these people in the community, and importantly, if they are not in the middle of something, go up to them and thank them for their service and what they do every day. I want to recognize the following people in particular who have joined us: Prince William County Acting Police Chief Phelps and Delegate Guzman. Thank you all again.
In addition to recognizing our guests today, we'd also like to invite them to speak. Delegate Guzman was the only elected official that reached out to us after our bomb threat, and I just want to say how grateful we were to know that we are well supported. We know we're supported by others in our county, but to know that even at the state level, there are those that care about us. Delegate Guzman, would you like to share a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Rabbi Liz. Good evening. I am Delegate Elizabeth Guzman, and I proudly represent the 31st District in Richmond, which includes parts of Prince William and Fauquier counties. And I would like to thank the Rabbi and the entire congregation for inviting me to your annual Patriots Day service again. And I'm honored to be here. And I wanted you to know that you do have a voice in Richmond. And as we gather tonight to remember the lives lost 19 years ago, we must also remember the fear and the hate that followed that dark day. We as a nation are facing another pivotal moment, one where we must confront fear and hate yet again. I know your congregation, as Rabbi was mentioning, has recently been the target of this fear and hate. And I wanted you to know that I'm here to show my love and support for my Jewish brothers and sisters and all marginalized peoples. If there's anything my office can do for you, your family, or your neighbors, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Get our contact information through the Rabbi, and together we will endure and persist as a community. I look forward to seeing everyone when we are able to be close together and can safely support each other in person again. And thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And Jared, I'm not sure what the proper, can I call you Chief Phelps yet?
Jared's fine, actually.
Jared, okay. Thank you for joining us as well and for your continued support for our community. Would you like to share a few words as well?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I must say, I can't pronounce your last name. I think it's Jinsema Amanda. You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful rendition. So I want to thank you for inviting me to partake in this. This is my first time, but as acting chief, we've got a long partnership together. Ever since your temple has been in Prince William County, we've worked hand in hand under Chief Dean and then under Hudson and Bernard, and I plan to continue that partnership in making sure that your voice and your concerns are addressed. It's unfortunate that you were the victim here recently of that bomb threat, but we take these things very seriously. And I know Jillian reached out to me very quickly, and we are actively investigating as best we can to handle that and deal with those things. And it's unfortunate that people have to show that kind of hate. We are your police department, and again, I'm here to make sure that we do the right things the right way in the best manner possible. I'm committed to that, and working with Adam and Jillian on our citizen advisory board. It's important that we make sure we get it right. We owe it to the community to make sure that we're doing things the right way, and I want to make sure that we've done that. And it is an honor to be here, especially on today. 19 years ago, as Delegate Guzman so eloquently said, we had a lot of hate in the days afterwards, and we all felt a lot of pain being victimized towards hate as a country, and we have to work hard to make sure that we just work together to get through a lot of the issues that are going on around our country these days, and to show the love that we can as a society. And so I thank you for the opportunity. I'm here anytime. Please reach out to me, and I look forward to our continued partnership and working.
Thank you. So now we continue our service on page 128 in our Mishkan Tefillah. I put a link in the chat to the online flip book that our movement has provided. But I guess if you go to that link, it takes you to like a homepage kind of thing, and then you still have to click on which prayer book. So our page numbers match up with the weekday Shabbat and festival. We use a thick one. If you use the Shabbat only one, everything is still there. But if you're not familiar with a Jewish prayer book, the page numbers won't match up and it will be harder to follow along. So on page 128 in our Mishkan Tefillah, in a moment, Amanda will sing for us, Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad, a very traditional way that we start Jewish prayer. The English is how good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. It comes from the book of Psalms, and it's an expression of our gratitude anytime we gather, that even digitally, that we are so grateful for this community and to be able to be here together.
Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
At this time, we're going to also sing our national anthem. Normally, you know, when we do this in the synagogue, we have an American flag on our bima. If you have one in the room that you're in and you want to turn whichever way that is to face it instead of at your camera, or however it makes you feel like you're setting your intention toward the flag, toward our country, please do so. And again, if you need the words and you have the prayer book, it's on page 679.
And as it is our national anthem, if you are able to rise, you may do so at this time. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now that we have sort of set our intention for our prayer tonight, I am very happy to invite Cece Wolf, a sort of alumna of Ner Shalom, to light Shabbat candles and lead us in the blessing on page 120 and 121.
Okay, let me turn to that page real quick. So first, I will read this prayer in English on 121 before I light the candles. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. And let me get these candles. I kind of want to see if I can light it. Yeah, there we go. I'll light one. Ah. There we go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Please turn to page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? Joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide.
And now as we segue into the bulk of our evening service with the Kaddish on page 144 and the Barhu, the call to worship on page 146, I invite you to first take a deep breath and let the joy and warmth and light and refreshment of Shabbat enter your lungs, your heart, your soul.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba, Belma divrachute v'yamlith malchute, B'chayefon uvyomefon, U'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman kariv, V'yimeru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach, La'olam Olam Me'omaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitale, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, Leila Min Kol Berchata V'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran v'alma, v'yimeru, Amen. And please rise for the Baruch. Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated, and we continue on page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. On pages 152 and 153 is the Shema, followed by the Ve'ahavta. These are words of Torah, and so they are words from our shared holy texts.
And we rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Ba'ed. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be upon thy heart, shall be upon thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorpost of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
You may be seated. We continue on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, Give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From Sinai, from bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders?
Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 160. Grant us, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is over us, over all your people, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
We now continue with the Shamru on page 162. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Bein uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
And now we come to the central portion of our evening prayer. The tefillah begins on page 164 and continues over the next few pages. If you are able, I invite you to rise. And if you know which direction east is in your house, you might face that way as well. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufia gita hilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Nezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir rasulim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Omido melach, Melech Mimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated.
Page 173. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies, rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift. O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevorech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a moment now for silent prayer. You might use the words on pages 180 and 181 of our prayer book, or simply a moment of reflection with your own mind.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, amen.
We turn our thoughts now to those who are ill or injured and in need of prayers for healing. As I read the names on our community list, feel free to put in the chat as well any names for whom you are praying for healing. Mary Kennedy, Rosalind Cantu, Mike Haug, Lori Perry, Nick Joliat, Bernard Strassner, Ariel Batsluva, Gail, Rhoda Wessler, Marion Finkel, Skip Cathy and Jeffrey Brace, Rhonda Butler, Ricky Grant, Shoshana Bat Abraham, Minna Dornfeld, John Manners, Michael Kumakawa, Neil Savage, Joey Jones, Juliette Origi, Sharon Kalb, Leslie White, Shirley Kronig, John and Winnie Cruel, Carrie Rosen, Lou Boucher, and Michelle Young. Jesse Reynolds, Ed Evans, Doug Carey Beaver. I'm gonna see if we have any people watching our live stream who put in the Facebook chat as well names. Or not, I don't see it here. Okay, never mind. Ann Cohen, Tom Foote, Paul Hamilton, Jeff Rosen, Carol Lewis. All right. We hold in our thoughts, of course, also all those who are suffering from the COVID virus or from the fires out west, and anyone else in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit. The Misha Barak is on page 371.
Misha Barak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Barak Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue on page 376. O guardian of life and liberty, May our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. And let us say, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Nitzavim Vayelech. It is a double portion. Nitzavim tells us of the nearness of Torah and the need for each person and their descendants to choose it for themselves. Vayelech tells us of Moses' preparations to die, his conferring leadership once and for all fully to Joshua, and preparing his final farewell speech that he will teach to the whole Israelite people. In some contemplative reading I've been doing for the month of Elul, this lead up to our High Holy Days, I came across a drash by Rabbi Elaine Rose Glickman on the second to last line of this parsha. So it comes from Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 29. Moses says, "After my death, you shall surely act corruptly." So Rashi, an 11th century commentator, says on this, "But for all the days of Joshua, the Israelites did not act corruptly. As scripture says, the people served Adonai all of Joshua's days." And that's from Judges chapter 2, verse 7. From this we learn, this is still Rashi speaking, from this we learn that a teacher cherishes a student as he cherishes his own life, and that all the time Joshua would live, it would appear to Moses that he himself has lived. So Rabbi Glickman expands on Rashi, saying that it shows how reverence for a teacher can transfer to the student who becomes the successor, and the beloved teachings can live on as long as their values continue to be taught by those who come after. Unspoken but relevant here is that Joshua then does not appoint a successor, and the Israelites do begin to act corruptly after his death. The book of Judges, after this one line about Joshua, then shows us cycles of countless times where the Israelites behaved selfishly, disrupted the unity of their nation, leaving them vulnerable to attacks by other nations, usually the Philistines at that time in history. And then a leader would arise, imbued with divine leadership, and the people would be saved. And so then everybody would act nicely again for a while because they were so grateful. But once that leader dies, again, everyone falls into doing what is right in his own eyes. It's a line that repeats again and again throughout the book of Judges. In Parshat Nitzavim, in the earlier part of this week's Torah reading, we are told that the whole of the Israelite people, both those physically present and those not physically present, are receiving this sacred covenant with God. 11th century Spanish commentator Ibn Ezra tells us that those not present refers to the future generations who may choose to accept this Torah. Unlike with the rabbinic interpretation of the revelation at Mount Sinai, which tells us that mystically every Jew ever born or converted was present at Mount Sinai, Ibn Ezra is clear that here in Parshat Nitzavim, 40 years later, the interpretation he's offering, or the Torah, is not saying that there was a mystical presence of all Israelites and Judeans and Jews. Rather, he's simply letting us know that the covenant is on offer to all of the descendants of those standing before Moses at the border of the Holy Land, and that offer is for anyone for all time should they choose to accept it. The future is full of possibilities and great potential. The Tanakh is very clear on warning us against power structures and single leaders, and sets up a lot of restrictions and parameters for leaders, creating checks and balances in the hopes of leading humanity toward establishing for themselves equitable society. However, the Tanakh is also very big on educational lineages and the purposeful passing of metaphorical torches. I believe this can be done in a decentralized way, that movements and smaller communities do not need a single charismatic leader, but it is still important for certain teachings and values to be established, for certain roles and orders to be passed on, even if they have to adapt and evolve over time to keep up with the growing awareness of what true justice looks like, so that society can remain cohesive and focused on progress. This Patriots Shabbat, we thank the leaders who have helped us and our community stay safe and healthy and moving ever forward up to this point. And we hold in our thoughts those who taught them to be the leaders we know today. And we dream of the possibilities of justice and progress that leaders to come may continue to bring us toward. May we all accept the responsibilities to uphold our community. May we all teach those who come after how to continue to do the same. And may we all live up to the great potential of equity and righteousness that the divine light guides us toward. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. And now I'd like to invite Harry Kanchovich up to the metaphorical bima to share some words. I can't see where you are, Harry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
To say 2020 has not been an average year would be an understatement, but we can say the same for 2001. Both years have been those of heroes, with both years busier and more fraught with danger and the unknown than ever expected. Who are these heroes? They're the same as in years past. Our active military, veterans, law enforcement officers, firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs. But with the tribulations of this year, we had another group, those on the front line, the nurses, doctors, medical staff, clergy, teachers, grocers, store clerks, truckers, and producers of essential goods. Patriot Day began as a day to commemorate the lives of those we lost during 9/11. Although we will always remember those who gave their all, this day has become something much more. Today is a day to thank all who have and will continue to pay the ultimate sacrifice for our nation and our communities, and let them know their sacrifices are not without recognition. These heroes have witnessed tragedy, heartbreak, helplessness, and disbelief. They experience more days than not that they are frustrated and left asking why. But with each bout of frustration comes a renewed sense of commitment to their life's work. The great poet Maya Angelou said, "I think a hero is any person really intent on making this a better place for all people." This well defines our military, veterans, first responders, and frontline workers. They're not in it for the glory. They never asked to be heroes. All they ask is they are allowed to perform their duties and that we respect them for who they are and what they do. In previous years, I have done a roll call of those we have lost in Prince William County since September 11th, 2001. such as officers Ashley Gwendon and Chris Young, firefighter Kyle Robert Wilson and EMT Cecilia Turnbaugh, Senior Chief Petty Officer Scott Dayton, Lance Corporal Colin Joseph Wolf, and many, many more. However, this year there are far too many to name, many whose names will never be on a wall or in the papers. I will leave it to you to think of any you may know and say a prayer for them and their families. I would like to close with a prayer for our military, veterans, first responders, and frontline personnel. We give thanks for the military men and women, both from the past and present, for their courageous service and sacrifice to our country and its people to secure the blessings of life, liberty, and justice for all. May our remembrance be a timely reminder that our freedom was purchased at a high cost and should not be taken for granted. We pray today for the first responders who show up in the face of danger and natural disaster because of their commitment to serve. Grant them courage when they are afraid, wisdom when they must make quick decisions, and please keep them safe so they can continue to protect their communities and generously devote themselves to helping others. We also pray for the health and safety of all essential workers who did not expect to be on the front lines. Help them stay clear-minded in the midst of the surrounding panic. Give them the strength to carry on each day, comforting their tired and weary hearts. Lord, support and encourage our military, veterans, first responders, and frontline workers. Please guard their hearts and minds. Restore their mental and emotional resources when they have been depleted. Let them not become weary in their good work, and give them strength when they are weary and compassion in all their work. Amen.
Thank you, Harry. We turn now toward our concluding prayers. The Aleinu is on page 586.
Please rise.
And if you are able, please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gidula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kagiyeh haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Ushemo Echad.
We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us in body, but remain with us in spirit. As I read the names on our list for those who have died in the past year or who are marking an anniversary of death this week, I invite you to put names in the chat as well of anyone you know who you would be marking the anniversary of their death around this time of year, anyone who has died in the past year, and given today's service, anyone you know who died on 9/11 or in a line of duty in the last 19 years as well. So we have yahrzeits for Isaac Bormel, Harold Liebes, Cynthia Alpert, Josephine DiMatteo, Fran Siegel, Harold Herman, John Epstein, Harriet Epstein, Shirley Horowitz, and Jacob Dayton, and are still within the year of mourning for Nancy Holowitz, Roland Laramie, Mindy Ferenz, Moishe Deutsch, Douglas Miguel Rodriguez, Bob Katz, Roger Haug, Paula Cooper, Ernie Weissman, Doris Oleski, Sandra Lenag, David Avery, Art Rich, Jason Brown, Louis Petrozello, Gary Limes, John DiNicola, Arizona Breeding, Fran Morona, Rick Grossman, Aura, Alva, Leon, Sharon Buell, and Mona Mandel. And I see some names in the chat. Dorothy Wolf and Gary Beaver, Cynthia Alpert, Catherine Morris, Arnold Hecht, Dr. Arnold Hecht, Aaron Thaler, Andrew Zucker, EMT Jeff Simpson, Anthony Gerisi, Philip Hill, and John Yambaso. And Karen Henderson, I see. The Mourner's Cottage is on page 598. We remain standing as we hold in our thoughts all those who have gone before us. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei dekudasha barichu, ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. You may be seated. So we are arcing toward the close of our service. Our president, Alec, is going to give us some announcements, and Amanda is going to lead us in one last patriotic song. And then we'll do blessings over challah and wine. And I'll leave the Zoom room open and unmute everyone for a few minutes after we do those blessings. So if you want to stay in and make a toast or schmooze a little bit, we'll stay here for a few more minutes after the close of the service.
Thank you, Rabbi Liz. Shabbat Shalom. Rabbi Liz and Amanda, thank you for leading us in a wonderful service tonight. Thank you again to all of our dignitaries who joined us. As we're getting ready to go into the High Holy Days season, tomorrow night we have Selakot at the temple at 6:30 in the evening. The outdoors. It's going to be Havdalah. Anyone who comes who wants to get a high holiday prayer book, we'll be giving them out, and they'll be fun. Bring lawn chairs and masks. Lawn chairs will be set up at socially distanced places. And then the day after that, Sunday morning, is the first day of religious school, 9:30 in the morning. Again, it will be outdoor at the temple live, but outdoor. Bring a mask as well. Or wear your mask, please. And then next Friday, 1 week from tonight, is Erev Rosh Hashanah. We will Zoom an innovative Rosh Hashanah Seder starting at 6 o'clock in the evening. Very important. Just like tonight's service, you must register and send your registration in. You'll get an email back from Rabbi Liz granting you access to the Zoom event. And that will be the start of our high holiday services, and they will just continue on with all the rest of them. They're all in the e-kibbutz. Please check the e-kibbutz. And yes, it is a little bit different than we've done it in past years, but we have a little bit different circumstances that we're dealing with than in past years. And I hope next year we'll be able to hold this service and the high holiday service and all the other services and all the other services live and together live. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. One other thing, or two other things that are related to each other. Next weekend also, Sunday is our, well, not ours, but Prince William County's International Day of Prayer for Peace service. It will be streaming on Facebook from their page, the International Day of Prayer for Peace. If you don't have Facebook, you can still find the live feed. It's you just can't get the ping once it goes live. You have to like be paying attention at the time and go to facebook.com and search International Day of Prayer for Peace. But it's a public page, so you'll still be able to see the live video, even if you don't have an account. But if you do have an account, I highly recommend finding the group ahead of time and liking it so that you will get the notification when we go live on Sunday afternoon. And in the meantime, please buy one of these nifty shirts that I just put the link in the chat. The International Day of Prayer for Peace service usually involves bringing canned foods as well, which then gets distributed to our local food pantries. Since the service is not happening in person, I don't know of any food drive happening, but if you buy a shirt that says Partners in Peace and was a logo and idea set up in response to our bomb threat a few weeks ago about, you know, raising solidarity in our interfaith community, and all the proceeds go to the local food bank that would normally receive canned items at this time of year. So if you haven't already, I do recommend getting yourself a Partners in Peace shirt and supporting our local food bank. And similarly, this is a third thing, I'm sorry, but normally we also do a food bank around this time of year at the temple, or a food collection, food drive. And again, since we're not doing any of our High Holy Day services at the temple, there's not as many options to bring cans by, but if you are coming to the Slichot event tomorrow, bring your non-perishables then. And I believe there's a free snow cone in it for you if you bring canned foods. Is that correct, Debbie? I can neither confirm nor deny that, but I heard that rumor. Okay, so that's all.
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, there will be free snow cones for either canned goods or a check made out to ACTS or SERVE.
So this is how we stick together as a community and show our solidarity. We support those less fortunate and get matching t-shirts to show everyone that we're in this together. Okay, so that's it for real. Amanda, will you lead us in the closing song?
Yes, we will be singing God Bless the USA. If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life. And if I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, From Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Patriots Shabbat. If you have a glass of wine, a cup of juice, or any beverage for that matter, go ahead and raise it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon. So I'm going to take you all off mute and stop recording, and